and welcome back. It feels so nice to be here with all of you guys. However, I feel like I'm sitting in this chair covered in a thick layer of dirt that is never going to come off. I joined my farmer yesterday just to spend time with him to do a test plot at our farm, and that's when you kind of plant a bunch of different varieties. I think we planted 24 different varieties of corn in the dry land and 17 different varieties in the irrigated, and it took us the four of us nearly all day. Jay and I came out of it happy with each other. That is a praise the Lord. If you know anything about doing a test plot, it's just very meticulous. You load the planter with all of the different varieties. We did 4 varieties at a time. And then you make one pass, and then you have to drive the truck with the generator and use the shop vacs to get all of that seed out of the planter so that you can put in some other varieties. Those varieties have to get marked correctly, and there's 4 different men. The sound of the planter, the tractor, and the sounds of the shop vac communication is tough. But I think it went really well. Something that I noted is I've taken about almost 2 years away from the farm to work on a renovation that I've been doing, and then I also renovated our office building. So I kind of just took a step back, not 100%, but almost. A majority of my time has been spent working on these projects of my own. And I have really missed being with Jay and being with the guys. And there were times where I've tried to step back into that present farm wife role that I've wondered, did he figure out that it's a little easier with me not there? You know, you make up all of these things. And am I too much? Am I making his day harder instead of what I think, which is making it easier? And I fill in these voids where, our men aren't that great at fully using a bunch of words and communicating. But my husband does get very, very busy. And so sometimes I take his head going a million miles an hour. I'll fill in the voids incorrectly. Having said all of that, it was just so nice to spend 12 hours together on a project in the field and come home, and he just seemed to be in one of those really good moods with me. And I know that I was. I was ready to hang out with them and eat some good food, and watch a show. And Monday and Tuesday nights are kind of our date nights with our blended family. That's kind of what's always worked with us. And we've gone through spring break, and so a couple of our kids went back to college, and a couple went back to the dad, and one to her mom. And so we really were here alone when we got out of the field. And we had worked for our dinner, and it was just really nice to see that after 12 hours together, he wasn't sick of me. He seemed a little playful and flirty, and that was really good for me. It was really good for my heart, because I guess one of my love languages, or a way that you could love on me, is after spending a lot of time with me, being like, gosh, I wish this wasn't over, or I wish this wasn't going to end, because in my head, I think that I've worn out my welcome. You're ready for me to leave. And so it was really nice to get back to this house. And of course, I'm taking his pulse nonstop, and to take a pulse of a man that I spent all day with in some challenging situations at times. And instead of him being like, you go to your corner and I'll go to my corner and we will start this over tomorrow, he just seemed as silly and flirty with me as he's ever been. And that really just made my heart sing, because I do feel like I have finally been able to turn the page on my renovations, and return to my present farm wife role, which is when we, decided that I would be when we got married, that I would be a little bit more present at the farm. I really do. I really do enjoy it. I had to go through kind of the evolution of a farm wife to figure out where I'd like to be right now, and that might even be different in a year. But right now, it just feels really nice to be in the hustle and the bustle of everything, and not feel like I'm kind of laxing on the ways that I can make things easier there for Jay and for the crew. And so we'll see kind of what that turns into, but so far so good. As far as going back to turning the pages on my renovation, that is something that I really wanted to discuss on this episode because it has been so absolutely peculiar to me what has happened and the way that it has affected my emotional state. And you know, you know, you know me, like I want to study a situation and I want to see why something has gotten me the way that it's gotten me, and I want to know exactly the correct way to push myself through it, essentially studying myself all the while. I like to study me and other people and the relationships with each other and with what's going on. We purchased this house from a friend, I want to say 2 Aprils ago. Something that occurred the entire time. It's like when you have a baby and someone says, "When are you going to have your next one?" And then you have your next one and they say, "Are you done?" The small talk can feel daunting at times because I think that sometimes people don't know what to say. And so they just say either the cliche thing or they grab for the best thing that they can. And you don't hear things the way they are, you hear things the way you are. After about a year of not getting this big old ugly house renovated, I started getting really self-conscious. And when I get self-conscious, I leave. I'm out. I'm a leaver. I'm going to be the first one to get out of that situation. And so I started feeling that every time I would speak to someone about, what do you do? Well, I'm flipping a house. And how long have you been doing it? How much do you have left? Those are the questions, the timetable. You'll meet people in trades. Why is it taking you that long? We do 45-day flips. We do 45-day flips. You should have sold that house to me. I could have done it in 45 days. There's all this comparison that was happening, and instead of realizing that people were just wanting to connect with me and didn't have any malice, I got really insecure about it. And I just thought, everyone's judging me. Everyone is judging Jay's wife for trying to flip this first house, and she can't do it. And I go through the next year and a half this way. And I get to the point where I think, let's call it, like, these buyers can come in and absolutely, we took it to the studs and have renovated it. And the thought in the back of my head was always, these new buyers, this new family, they could move in and take it back to the studs. You're not in control. You can't predict it. There's nothing about it that you can decide, please don't take it back to the studs, because we did, and we worked really hard. And so we got to a point where I really felt comfortable turning a page. And I'm flipping this house. My main source of help has been my ex-husband, my kid's dad. And he'd say, "What about this?" Or, "Do we need to do this?" Or, "Let's finish this." And I'm like, you know what? Call it good, because there's stuff about my house that I need to be fixing. And I don't. I just live with it. It's fine. I don't even really see it anymore. But we were taking such a magnifying glass look at this flip house. And the longer it took us to renovate it, the more things would, because that house is living. And so the more things would need to be done. And I felt like sometimes we were starting to renovate the renovation. And I was like, we need to call it good. We need to turn a page and we need to call it good. So guys, we did. I turned a page physically, emotionally, mentally, and I worked really hard. Jay's first cousin is our land guy in this area, and he helped me get a great comp price and knew what we wanted to list it for. Everything started moving forward. I got the flyers printed up. I listed it on Zillow. I took some professional pictures, listed it, turned the page, listed it. Within 12 hours of this happening, within 12 hours of me turning that proverbial page, a storm came through our town and ripped the south side off of our home. Not my home that I live in, of our flip home. That's important because the storm did take out people's homes that they lived in. So I want to keep perspective of this was a project of mine. Some people lost their homes, and my heart genuinely goes out to them, and I want to be clear about that. Within 12 hours of turning a page, a storm came and ripped the south side of my home that I have been renovating for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years next month. We were set to go to Colorado, like I was telling you guys, to take my children to see my parents. We were set to do that in 3 or 4 days. And so for 3 or 4 days, more rain was coming, more of a storm was coming, and my ex-husband would call and say, we need to get over there. What does it look like? What's going on in the garage? It's been open to the elements. I bet you that sheetrock has fallen in the garage. What is everything looking like? What's the yard look like? How's it going over there? I live really close to the flip house. He doesn't live as close. My answer, I don't know. No, I don't just not have any idea. I really would rather not even know what you're talking about. Like when I tell y'all a minute ago, I'm a leaver, I left that situation. I can't even explain to you how hard I emotionally and mentally and heck, physically, you can throw physically in there. I can't even tell y'all how quickly I got out of that situation. And he was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you don't know what the garage looks like? And I'm like, I don't not only know what the garage looks like today, I'm not gonna know what it looks like. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I haven't gone over. I'm not going over. I'm going to Colorado in a few days with my children, and this is not killing my buzz. And I know I have the luxury to tell that to him, and then he can go. He ended up going over there and drying it in and helping me over there, but I just could not believe how big of a denial I entered into, and I just kept hearing myself say, I turned a page and I'm not turning it back. I won't. I refuse. Y'all don't understand. I turned a page, okay? And well, the storm took out the south side of your house. I don't know what you're saying. All I'm telling you is I turned a page. So it was just such a situation for me to be able to study myself and be like, Jess, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, this is what I'm doing, because there was just nothing about me that could enter back into a situation that I had left. And I just thought, what if something is in there? Like with addiction or weight loss or arguing with Jay, being a nagging mom to my children, being a jealous ex-wife or a jealous stepmom that things aren't going the way I think they should. What if there's a way that we could turn the page on those things and physically and emotionally and mentally just simply not be able to turn it back because we've already turned it? I just thought that there was something neat of a picture there. Lily, my oldest, I don't know if I've told y'all this, but when she went to school last semester on August 25th, I laid down fast food. I just laid it down. I was like, I'm not doing this. I don't even know why it coincided with her going to school. I know that TikTok has a really positive influence in my life. I have a lot of people on my algorithm that are trying to build morning routines and night routines and step away from addiction. I'm on Skinny Talk. My team and I have been laughing about that today. Um, I've cultivated a pretty positive algorithm, and I want to say that maybe something on there entered that world, my world, the day that Lily went to school. Whatever happened that day, I said no more. I'm just not. We would eat out breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes it's just Jay and I, so it's a lot easier. And when you get in that habit, our little tiny town went from cornfields to McDonald's, Wendy's, Brahms. I mean, our little tiny town went from 0 fast food joints to probably 12 within the matter of a year. And even right now, we just got our first big, beautiful Kroger. We're getting an HEB and a Walmart within the next year. And so where we went from not living very close to a drive-through and you had to kind of work for it. No, we drive right past it, going to school, coming home from school. And I got into a pretty difficult situation or a bad relationship with it. And so I was able to lay it down on August 25th. And so here we are. What is it? We're getting close to March 25th. And so we'll be, I can't do the quick math on it. 8 will be 7 months, 7 months without fast food. And I've just been trying to use building blocks to create this routine of mine. And in looking for these building blocks and looking for ways to add, I do this peculiar little thing where I've got a case of room temperature water bottles. I have it in the hallway on one of our shelves. And every morning when I grab my coffee, I go grab one of those room temperature bottles. Why are they not in the fridge? I don't know. It's just how it's been designed, and it's how I've designed it. And I before anything else, make sure that there is a case of water there. And this was kind of my second building block that I added to that fast food purge. And I grab that water bottle. I come right back into the kitchen and I grab. I'm not sponsored, but I love Pro Mix De-Bloat. I don't know if y'all follow Caden Kearns and Dell Kearns, but she had a Pro Mix De-Bloat on her page, and I just grabbed it wondering if I would like it, and I love it. And so every morning, that's my thing. I need my water bottle, and I need my little packet that goes into my water bottle, and it makes me feel good about myself, and it makes me feel good about my day. And again, absolutely not an ad, unsponsored, but these little building blocks that I'm trying to create. When I finished with the house, I just felt like renewed. I don't have all of this mental capacity going to the Fliphouse. I can spend it on me and my house and our farm and my marriage. And so it was really nice to go from needing something fulfilling that felt like a job to me because I didn't do really well to being a housewife, to working on said project for a couple years, to getting done with it minus the storm. We're not even going to talk about that part. To now returning back to I can be that housewife that can feel fulfilled and do these different things that I'm wanting to do. And so that process has been a lot of fun walking through and figuring out, do I want to flip homes? No. I thought I did. I thought I would be really good at it. And maybe I was good at it, but that one felt nice. Jay thinks give me a few weeks and I'll be back at it. I just don't. I have a new appreciation for the life I had before I wished for something gigantic to happen. And he's like, what are you going to do now? I'm like, laundry. I'm going to do so much laundry. I'm going to be the best darn stay-at-home wife you've ever seen in your life. And so yesterday was really symbolic to go and spend. I bet you I got to the field before 9 o'clock, and I think we got here at 10 o'clock in the evening. We got to go together and see his daughter, my stepdaughter, play tennis together. We did that in the beautiful sunshine and all of the kids playing tennis. It was just such a beautiful vibe, and she played so well, and being able to do that with him was so special. I just always felt like I was tied to that space to get it done, so that when someone asked me how much longer, that I would be able to give them a good answer. And I got a little bit lost in that answer instead of all of the things that house taught me in the past 2 years. And it taught me a lot about myself. I wanted to talk to you guys more about the purpose of this show. My dear friends, Rob and Emily Sharkey, they have Shark Farmer everything. They have a radio show on XM. They have a couple of podcasts called Shark Farmer. They have a TV show called Shark Farmer on RFD TV. They're dear friends of ours, and they invited me on their show, their XM show this week, to tell them about the show and about all of you. And it'll let me kind of sit down and put pen to paper and talk to ChatGPT. His name's Hamish. Have I told y'all about Hamish? So Hamish and I discussed the sheer little fact that this show feels like the whole world to me. The importance of my life feels like it is wrapped up in this show. However, it's not easy for me to put that into words, and I'm not really sure how. The passion is in me, and the love is in me, and the drive is in me for this show, and the recognition of the importance of what I want to do with the show, and the community that I want to create, and the purpose that I want to have here. But as I'm trying to describe to you, it's not always easy for me to describe exactly what it is. And so that was really nice of them to invite me on, and it was really helpful for me to try and sit one more time. I'll even read things that I've written about the show in the very beginning and just be like, I wrote that. I don't think I knew that I even knew that about this or myself. And isn't that funny that daily we kind of have to renew and walk through these things? And so I just wanted to revisit that with you guys and just let you know that this show is for you. It's for you to be able to have something. We're always on our phones, and I just wanted to have something positive on our phones and have something where if you are having a day or you are feeling alone or you're feeling like you don't have any friends, or you're feeling like you don't have anyone that understands you, or you are feeling isolated in your struggles. We've said this before, is these things that we feel absolutely alienated about, these struggles that we think that just us, we're the only ones that have ever gone through this. That when we finally can swap notes and talk to each other about it and find out that not are you just not the only person, that it's the majority of us are dealing with that. And I feel like when we talk about these things, it takes that grip away, the power away from you wanting to compare yourself, because we're all finding out that we're all doing this for the first time, and we're all struggling just like each other, with this, sometimes with the same exact things, when we didn't really even know anybody would even know what we're talking about. And so I wanted to make sure that this show allowed you to have that closeness. 'Cause I think things can get pretty heavy here. I think sometimes you wake up and you just can't find it. I think sometimes you wake up and you just cannot find your way. You can't. Sometimes you're struggling with, what is this? What is this life? Why are we here? Is this real? Am I in a simulation? Am I in a hologram? What happens when we leave here? What was happening before we got here? Where are the people that we've lost? Where are we going to see them again? And for a mind and a brain like mine, sometimes that can get just absolutely overwhelming. So if you are feeling that way, I want you to know that you are not alone in it. And you're not broken to want to know why sometimes this place doesn't feel enough. I walk around my life and I just ask our God if there's anything that you would want them to hear from you. That's all I've ever wanted to be, was just a vessel for Him to be able to pass on His love and His hope and His good news. The good news of that there is more, and that the more can be found together. Something so defeating to me lately, and I've been talking to Jay about it a lot, is getting on one of my favorite podcasts and hearing the spill that you've heard probably several times by now, that if you're on one side of history, you're not welcome there. And I'm finding it really hard lately to stay out of the politics of everything. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. But the dissension in the world right now has just, for a heart like mine, or someone like me that can feel the dissension and can see that there's two sectors of people in this world, or in this nation, I'm sorry, that just absolutely hate each other. It's just, and they can't see each other. It can feel absolutely draining. And so sometimes when I am addicted to my phone and I read these things where people that not only can't see eye to eye, they have physically formed grooves in their brains that allow them to see situations completely polarizing from each other. And it's become really more evident to me, from a little girl to now. I've always been able to hear everyone. Not always acted well on that, but I've always been able to hear all sides in arguments or in dissension or when some in a debate of any kind. I can understand. I feel like I was born with a little bit more open of a mind, and I'm really thankful for that. And I've tried to flex it and get it as big as I can. And I'm sorry that feels like bragging, but it's the only way I can describe it is I've always just been able to see all of the sides. I know why she's fighting that way. I know why he's upset with this. I can see, and I can see good points on both. I can see probably where several of them are, several of the points may be misguided or from their upbringing or where they live in the South or in the North, or, I can see where it's all coming from. So for someone like me to see what's happening in our culture has been so tough on my depression, because there doesn't seem to be any leaning in or getting closer together. It just feels like, to me, this time next year, you would ask for the dissension they're having today, we're having today, you're there, we are having today, and that makes me really sad. And I feel like there is a power behind it that is fueling the hatred and the dissension. And I feel like being able to have that open mind, when I did walk through my fires, when I came undone in my early 30s, when I experienced my marriage and my family crumbling and tearing at the seams, and walking through that fire and finding myself in the bottom of that pit. I came out of that pit, and the way that I could hear everyone's opinion and see everyone's opinion only went in a supersonic direction. I know there is a truth in trying to lean back into each other. I have one of my favorite podcasts, and they had someone that was on a different side of them on this week. And I was just so proud of them. I was just so proud of them because it was something that everyone needed to hear, because we're losing that. We're losing these conversations with people that think nothing like us, because I feel like those conversations have gotten so fueled and fiery lately that we're almost just too scared to have them, or we're just out of fucks. I mean, just like, we're not going to do it. We're not going to use the effort that it takes to talk to somebody on a different side as us. And I feel like when the darkness and, that scripture, our fight is not with flesh and blood, but with the authority and leaders of the darkness. I butchered it. I'm sorry, but you get what I'm trying to say is our fight isn't here. Our fight is in the spiritual realm, and someone, the dark, does want us absolutely polarized, in an absolutely contentious dissension, and that's where we found ourselves. And I guess I just want to tell you that whether you are a Democrat or a Republican or an independent or a centrist, or you're not political or you're very political, I guess I just want to tell you that you will always be welcome here. Like, always, you will forever be welcome here, and you will forever be wanted here. And there are a lot of times I'll hear someone say something, or I'll read these comments and realize, oh, their algorithm is telling them something completely opposite of me. I am seeing videos and coverage that is absolutely opposite of that. I am seeing things edited completely different than the things that they're seeing are edited. And so going back to the swapping of the notes, like the swapping of the notes is so important. And if you want to, you don't have to approach a large group or a community, but if there is just one person that you can trust to say, like, hey, I know you seem like you are on the opposite side of things as me lately. I've seen things that you've posted on Facebook. I've heard things that you've said, and I've detected that you and I are about as far apart as we can be. But I love you, and I'm not going anywhere, and there's not anything you can say that would make me not want to be friends. And I respect you, and I honor you, and I would like if you and I could just kind of talk about this with each other. This is what I'm seeing, or this is what I'm hearing. Are you hearing the same thing? Or what are the things that have really got you lately? What are the things that these are your main points? Like, this is why I hate this person, or this is why I hate that side, or this is why I feel so strongly that we are right, or this is why I feel so strongly that they are wrong. And maybe you don't want to start at the big stuff. Maybe you want to start with the smaller things. But I know that these conversations, these leaning in to people that we think there's just no way. There's just no way to bridge that gap. There's no way to get on the same page. And you just kind of see like the gap in how far apart people are. And you just, what can you do? And to me, if you have a mind and a heart that is willing to stand in the middle, I really feel like it is important. I feel like we're in a lot of trouble if we can't figure out a way to lean towards each other. And if you're a Christian like me, you're called to lean. You are called to lean towards people, not away from each other. You're called to walk into a room and add love to that room. And when you leave the room, have people wishing they were going with you. That's what Jesus did. And he walked into a place and drew everyone towards him. And when he left, they were like, hey, where are you going? Can we go with you? And right now, I'm just not seeing a lot of that. And so I really do feel like it's our job to, hands in, huddle up, and decide that we're going to go first. Let's go first. I think it's really, really important that we go first. If you would like to use me, if you would like to message me and say, this is just something I cannot understand. Maybe I don't feel that way. Maybe that's not one of my beliefs, but chances are I have put some good thought into that belief. Because like I told you, I like to study myself and the world around me, and the way that we all interact and our beliefs and our value sets. And chances are I have put some good thought and reading into the topic that you're going to want to talk about. And I would love to talk about it with you. So if you don't have somebody that in mind that you would like to sit with, I'm good for it. I am. And maybe that's even why I'm here with this show. It's simple enough to be able to sit down in this time of our culture of being as separate as I feel like we've ever been, to be somebody that can have a talk with you and it not turn into an argument and it not turn into we're never going to see each other again. Or, you get so scared with like family members with after this talk, what's Christmas going to look like? That's not going to happen with me. And so if I'm genuinely extending myself. If you need a sounding board, or you need to vent, or you need to figure out a way to lean back into some of your friends or family members or coworkers, and talking to me about it would help that, I'm good for it. You send me a message. I think it's just going to start in our relationships around us. I said on the show with Rob and Emily this week, Bob Goff says, you love on the people around you, and I'll love on the people around me, and we'll gain a lot more ground that way. And I think that if just here in this little community, I think there's like 85 of us. That's a lot of people. Not to podcast numbers, that might feel small, but 85 people in a room trying to decide how to lean in towards each other. Can you imagine? That is amazing. I'm already just absolutely obsessed with each of you. I mean it. I think of y'all all the time. And when you send me messages, I thank God for you every time. Every time I think of you, I thank God for you. So if you're kind of walking around today wondering if you have any worth or if anyone's thinking about you, I am. I'm thinking about you, and I love you, and I cherish you. And that sometimes can change everything. So let our community here change everything. I'm thankful that you would sit here. I know that I may talk a little slower or fumble over my words or need to be put on 2.5 speed. But it means a world to me that you would listen to this episode and all of the episodes and want to be here with me, want to sit at this table. You guys are such a specifically loving type of people. And I'm already feeling so honored to know you, and I can't wait to meet the rest of you. And I pray in 25 or in 26 that we actually do get to see each other, and I'm going to be working on that, I promise. Meanwhile, like I've said before, you guys can come over to our Facebook community. We're having a lot of fun over there. Everyone is just so loving and kind and looking for more love and more kindness and more relationship. And so if you are somebody walking around, like I said, wondering there has to be more, just come look for it with us. Come be in community with us. You're welcome. You're wanted. I thank y'all for being here, and I'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.